Actually, you probably want to, well, you can look up here. This is easier. Today we're talking about comparative graphs. And again, just like, just like with any types of graphs, and unfortunately for children your age, this is very difficult to do because you just want to get your homework done, so you just like going flying as fast as you can. The best thing, or the most important thing that you need to do is sit down here and read all of the titles, look at all of the lines that go up and down, all the stuff that goes across, what the different colors are, because that's going to help you understand the graph. These are called comparative graphs because they are giving you, for example, in this one, the average daily temperatures in January and July for 5 different cities. Okay, you are comparing 5 different cities. You're looking at Rome, you've got Caracas, Sydney, Paris, and Tokyo. And with each city, you've got 2 different colored lines. Well, what do those 2 colored lines mean? Right here. The light blue is the daily high temperature in January. So all of these light blues are January's, and all the dark blues are the July temperatures. Okay, so the first thing you want to do is sit there and look down and say, oh, okay, well, here's that's what I'm talking about. You know, you should be able to say Paris is cooler than Tokyo in July. Okay, Paris is cooler than Tokyo in January. You know, look at Caracas here. Michael, am I boring you? You and Nicholas want to go out in the hall and talk? No, I mean, no. Why don't you guys get your feet off of the chairs? Matter of fact, Michael, why don't you come on up here where Evan is. Evan going to go back there. Ryan, you go switch with Nicholas. Actually, no, Gary. Well, switch with Nicholas. Nicholas, go over there. Wouldn't want you to fall asleep back there. So you can see the differences. You know, it gives you a whole bunch of stuff that you can compare at what time, at any, just by looking at them. In what city was the average July high temperature the highest? So when you're looking at July, you can rule out the light blue. You're only focusing on the dark blue. Which one of the dark blues is the highest there? Emily Diedrich says, what's that?
Rome.
Rome. And how many degrees would you say Rome is right there?
90 degrees.
Yeah, it looks like it's a shy under 90, so maybe 89, 88, whatever it would be there. Let's see what other questions we can ask on this one. In which city was the average January high temperature the lowest? And again, you're still looking at, well, this time you're looking at the Januaries. Which one is the January high temperature the lowest? The lowest, Sammy? Paris, France. You're looking at the January, so that's the light blue. What city had the smallest range between the 2 temperatures? Which city has the smallest range between its January and July temperatures? It gets really complicated here. Gary? Caracas. And what would be the reason, why would you say that is? You probably, I mean, we don't have a map here, but whatever, but why, what places are, the temperatures probably don't change a whole lot between January and July?
Because Caracas is more like in the southern part, and
Well, they can't be,
tropical parts.
they can't be too far south. Where would they probably be? The temperatures pretty much stay the same all year round. Where would you probably find these cities? What? Right, probably right on the equator. When you're right on the equator, I mean, the sun's always, relatively speaking, in kind of the same place there, which would be kind of boring. Some people like it, some people don't. I don't know. Cool, some dark what?
The board's not blurry. Yeah. Get some glasses.
To you? You mean overall you think it's blurry because it's not?
It's blurry when it comes out.
I'll take that for what it's worth.
It's not blurry.
Are you feeling dizzy?
No, not really.
For what city is the average January high temperature greater than the average July high temperature? What city has a greater average January than another city's July temperature? I'm not even sure I can remember that question from here. Ryan? Sydney's January temperature is higher than its July. Now, why would that be?
Because when it's summer here, it's winter there.
Which is where are the seasons exactly opposite in the, what do we call those? Come on, you social studies or whatever stuff. That would be, if this is the case, then it must be in where, Gary?
Even the southern hemisphere, the northern hemisphere.
Well, this would be true in the southern hemisphere. If you're in the northern hemisphere, January is going to be much cooler than July. If you're in the southern hemisphere, it's completely opposite. Mason,
I have a question.
is it about this? Okay, well, let's, Mason, let's give everybody a chance to get some time to do their homework here before we have this. I don't know what mouse is, raspberry, tell me this here, but we're moving on. Let's see what else they ask us here. Here is a double broken line graph there. We can use a double line graph to show how two or more things change in relation to each other. For example, the double line graph there shows the change in population of the cities of Austin and Pittsburgh from 1950 to 2000. The legend at the right tells which line belongs to which city. So Austin is the darker, the dots that are colored in. Pittsburgh is the dots that aren't. What was Austin's population in 1970? Austin's population in 1970. Here's 1970. Austin is the dot one, so you're going to have to go right about right there. It is, you guys got to get to the eye doctor there. Peter?
About
So take a shot now that you said it. It's in your book, by the way, if you can't see this.
Oh, okay.
What is that?
A lot. But it is 250,000.
Yeah, I'd go with 250,000. Approximately how much did Pittsburgh population decrease? How much did it go down from 1950 all the way to the year 2000? About how much did it go down? How much would you say, Ryan?
350,000.
Yeah, probably about, started out up here, so 100, 200, $350,000. Why do you suppose? Why do you suppose, and again, the broken line graph gives you this thing that, Austin's population continues to rise while, Pittsburgh continues to go down, and I'm sure there's a number of reasons, but why would you suppose that is? Ryan?
Because
Okay, a lot of people with our modern day society where jobs aren't so much related to climate and being by, back in the day, most manufacturing jobs had to be by what? Or were by what? You look at all the big cities. You look at Detroit, you look at Chicago, the East Coast, the West Coast cities, New York City. Every one of the big cities back 100 years ago was located by what, Emily? By a body of water, because ships were an easy, cheap way to transport stuff. Well, now we've got all sorts of different ways to do that. Plus, most of our jobs aren't even in manufacturing anymore. I mean, how many of you raise your hand if your parents build things in their jobs? Okay, raise your hand if your parents do things like computer stuff or, working in the, police departments or fire departments or whatever.
Hospital.
Hospitals, healthcare. But back in the 1950s, most jobs would come from building cars or building tractors or building things to do that. We've gotten so efficient at that, and robots have taken so many of those jobs away that Pittsburgh, what's Pittsburgh known for?
Pirates.
No, they're known for their steel. Making steel is what they were known for. Okay, those kind of jobs have really gone down because our manufacturing of those kind of hard products has gone down. Whereas you look at Austin, it's down in the south where people like to be. It's always warm or whatever, so population there kind of goes up, while Pittsburgh unfortunately goes down. And that'd be the same with a lot of the major cities there. Let's see. Take a look at letter A here. If you were to make a comparative graph of Chinera, Alice, Terrell, and Manuel each wrote 2 stories, the number of paragraphs per story is shown below. Make a comparative horizontal bar graph to show there should be 2 bars. What would that look like? Let's say we were gonna make this graph. Oh, sorry. Oh, well, there's what it looks like. First of all, it said it was a horizontal bar graph. That's why it's going this way. Vertical means they go up, horizontal goes sideways. Each person has 2 bars because you're comparing their paragraphs in their 2 stories. You know, she had the exact same number of paragraphs, so it's the same line. Alice had only 3 in one and 6 in the other. Carol had 6 and 7, and Manuel had 7 and 10. So you can see that. I'm going to stop this.